It's just before 8 o'clock in the morning. It is an absolutely gorgeous day, and I'm Chris. This is High Crimes and Misdemeanors. So, this is the first one of these I'm doing. Hope you enjoy it. The idea is to get people out walking, show them a few ideas, have a chat about a few things that are going on, and what better day to do it than a day when, frankly, I've barely left the house in the last week. So I'm going to have a good hour and a half or so of government mandated exercise, and I was hoping to be coming to you from some far-flung hill or beauty spot, but instead I'm really near where I live. I'm on Barlock Moor, which is in Mulgai. Start at West Highland Way, but we're avoiding that for now because that's really busy and we're doing social distancing. So what am I doing? I'm doing something called the Compass Challenge. It's something that lots of other people do, but I've called it the Compass Challenge, and I'm going to explain to you in a bit why I think that's a really good thing to be doing when we are avoiding spreading this horrendous virus that has been gripping us and will continue to grip us. Anyway, so where I am at the moment, it's a little bit boggy down here, but I'll just show you this patch of grass here. Over 100 years ago used to be a church, yeah, so it was an open-air church, and then they decided to build a big church round the big actual church round the corner. So yeah, you can imagine someone standing over there on the concrete at the far end, preaching to the masses. Interesting, eh? And just round the corner there's the actual church. So I'm down on the main road now. There's a little bit of traffic, but it's not too bad. A bus just went by with nobody on it, which I guess is a good thing. And yeah, so this is the A81, which some of you may know as a road which goes out to the west end of Glasgow and up to the Trossachs. So normally this would be really busy with walkers, but not today. So I thought I'd take this opportunity with the sun right in my face to talk about what the Compass Challenge is. Basically, it's a opportunity to start from home, walk a certain distance to the west and then home, walk a certain distance to the east and then home, walk a certain distance to the north, then home, and guess what happens next? Yes, you walk a certain distance to the south and then home. So ideally, and at the moment, you will definitely be doing it in 4 separate stages on 4 separate days. Each one of them can be your daily exercise. I say a certain distance, you can decide how far that is. In the coronavirus landscape, you will probably be walking a bit shorter than you usually would, and that of course is advisable because we're not taking any more exercise than we feel we need. Yeah, so the idea came to me through a bit of a combination of things. First of all, a few weeks ago, one of my friends on Facebook, Rob, mentioned that he was going to do this in his own area, and that was very much in an urban setting, so that got me thinking, yeah, I need to do this where I live. And the other thing that I found a little bit of an inspiration was that I was reading the book The Wild Rover by Mike Parker, in which he talks about how he developed this love of being dropped off like 3 days from home and just finding his own way back and using a map to plot out your own route. And that got me kind of interested in this idea of finding a spot, finding another spot, and just finding a route between them. So that's what we're doing. And this isn't exactly the most direct route from point to point, but it is going to be, just avoiding this car here, 2 cars, so it is going to be a case of taking a little detour so we can go through the woods and find a nice space which is going to be quiet, and we don't need to worry about kind of holding back from the crowds and social distancing too much, because there won't be too many people to social distance from today. Okay, see you in a bit. That's Mulgai Reservoir up there. You can see that there's 1 or 2 people up there having a walk. Last week that's a place that was really busy, and that's one of the reasons why I'm not walking up there today. But it doesn't look terribly busy at 8 o'clock in the morning, so that adds to my recommendation. If you're looking for somewhere nice and quiet where you don't need to worry as much about getting infected or passing on an infection, then it's quite a good idea to someone running up there. It's quite a good idea to go out nice and early in the morning. So think about what time you're going walking as well as where you're going. Into the gym, that won't be open today. A really lovely bit of land on the side of the golf course, proper peaceful woodland, so I'm going to enjoy it without talking too much. By the way, if you Google Douglaston Woodland Walk, if you're on YouTube, then do not watch the video of it with kids. It is one of the strangest and one of the most disturbing things I have ever seen on YouTube. So, little warning there. We're crossing a ford. Last but one time I was up here, I was trying out to hire a kayak car I'd got for a couple of days, and I kind of went through there without realising just how much I had to slow down. I can't believe I didn't damage that car, but yeah, if you're watching Enterprise, then that's where the bottom of your car went. So I'm now onto a little network of quiet lanes up around the tiny little settlement of Baldernock, or is it Baldernock? I don't know. Comments down below if you can tell me. I want to explain a little bit more about what I'm doing and why it is so good for when we're on sort of lockdown. So the idea when there is an epidemic like this is to reduce the number of people that each person who is infected then goes on to infect. So this is something that I'd like to have seen a little bit more on the media, but the number is called R or R0 sometimes. So the idea is that if we can get that number that each person who's infected then goes on to infect down below 1, then that is when the epidemic starts to slow down. If it's above 1, then it will keep on increasing. If it's at 2 or 3, then it will increase with massive pace, and that's when you get the danger of, if one person passes on the infection to one other person, then they will in effect have led to thousands of people getting the virus a month or so later. So that's exactly what we want to avoid. I think I found where Boris Johnson's self-isolating. Keep 2 meters away, everyone. Hello, Prime Minister. So a big message from today is that careless walks cost lives. And first thing I should say when I'm talking about this is that I'm going to be talking about the government guidance and the situation today. This is changing. It's quite possible that by the time you see this there will be further restrictions. So for example, Ireland have just brought in a limit of 2 kilometres from home as a distance within which you can exercise. Personally, I think that seems quite reasonable. Some of you may not, but I think it's good to give people a bit of clarity like that, because there have been a lot of questions, including from myself, just wondering, well, what do they mean by exercise once a day? So that's, I think, quite good. So the first thing you'll be wanting to do is to make sure you follow the specific advice. So the most obvious thing is, if you need to stay home, if you're down as somebody who has to self-isolate, do that. Oh, that's obvious, but I should say that. Next thing, so the reason why we're allowed to exercise is that it is so good for our mental health. If we were purely thinking about stopping the virus, we would all be stuck in our own homes, and that would be a sure way of making sure it comes to a halt as soon as possible, but it would drive a lot of people mad. And I think it's a good thing that at this time we are being allowed out once a day. So we need to remember that that is the situation. Walking like this is a dangerous activity. Even if we feel like we're in the middle of nowhere and we've got no chance of passing anything on, there's still a chance that you can put your hand on a gate or a stile or something that you would never even imagine would cause a problem, and then you pass it on to one other person, and it's then passed on somewhere else. And sorry, I thought that was someone behind me. And before you know it, you've caused a death, and we shouldn't pussyfoot around that. Breaking off the serious track for a minute. This is a really lovely little valley we're walking down into here, and down at the bottom there's a mill, and yeah, so nice little spot. Daffodils really in full bloom at the moment, they're lovely, and there are so many birds. And the other thing I've noticed, I don't know whether this is just me, but there seems to be so much moss around, and that's making everything green and giving it a bit of a kind of spooky world atmosphere. It's really nice. It's a mill with Glasgow in the distance. being in all day every day, you've really got to make the most of this little spots like this little burn here. So there are two big relevant things that we need to think about when we're planning walks at the moment, and both of them are vitally important. The first one is social distancing, keeping away from people, reducing the number of contacts we're having with people. So obviously when you're out you want to keep your two meters distance. So far this morning I've seen 2 joggers, nobody walking, apart from that a few cars. So I think this has been really worthwhile, and I think that's a good thing about the Compass Challenge, is it will not necessarily take you into your local park, which I can be sure that this afternoon the local parks will be full, and that is going to end in people putting themselves in danger. So this is a really good way of finding a really nice walk in this case, and certainly at least one of the other 3 points of the compass I'm doing will be at least as lovely as this. So it's a good way of finding lovely walks like this. This is absolutely beautiful. The other thing that we need to think about is not travelling. Wow, pheasant. Yeah, so when I'm talking about not travelling, there's a pheasant flying off towards Glasgow. Yeah, so not travelling, there's been a bit of discussion about this, but it is really important. I can explain why in a bit more detail, maybe on another of these walks, but not travelling means that we are not carrying the virus around the country, and we're not spreading the infection from town to town, city to city, village to village, which is really important. And I wish there were better messages coming out from the authorities about that, because I don't think it's being well explained at all. So that means that this is a really, really good time to get to know your local area. This now is a road I've never walked along. It's one I found on the map. I thought I'd walked everywhere around here, but this is really great, and I just wouldn't have come along here if it wasn't for this lockdown. So take advantage of it like that and do the hashtag Compass Challenge. So I'm at the end point of my walk here. I've walked about 50 minutes. First of all, I'll just show you where I'm up to. So there we go, that is where 50 minutes has got us. We've come from over there, can't really see it, but it's just in front of those hills you can see in the distance. Yeah, so I was initially going to be putting all 4 of these compass points of the hashtag Compass Challenge into one video. But since news is moving so fast and I don't even know whether I'm going to be allowed out to do any more of these, I'm going to put them out in 4 parts, and that means that as each one comes out you can respond to it and give me any of your tips, any of your questions, any thoughts on how you can enjoy the countryside and enjoy your local area. I will be covering some of the things I mentioned in more detail. I'll be talking a little bit about how this applies to those of you who live in urban areas, and how you can get the most out of that a bit more. So yeah, I'm not forgetting you. In the meantime, send me your comments and subscribe and follow. So subscribe to High Crimes on YouTube, follow High Crimes and Misdemeanors on Facebook, or you can follow me on Twitter. I've changed my account to @HighCrimes. If you don't mind hearing a load of gibberish about other stuff that'll probably come out of me, then definitely do follow me there as well. So in the meantime, I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you've had a little bit of an insight into how to get to know your local area at a time of COVID-19 blind panic. So on that note, bye.